All right, so on your mark, set, let's talk about stress. We don't know what it is, kind of like the wind. Like what? Where does the wind come from?
Stars.
You ever thought about like what's the starting point?
Unicorn farts.
Unicorn farts?
Why are you looking at me? He was looking at me.
I don't know. That sounds all sciencey. All I know is the wind blows, and so does stress. So what I'm saying to you guys is simply this. Let's look at what stress is. It's hard to define, just like the wind. Where does it start? Where does it go? So if I ask you, what is stress? You'll say things like homework. I think that's too lazy of an explanation. Is having homework it? Is it the fact you have no control of when it's due? What is it about homework? You can't say homework stresses you.
Yeah.
You can? All right. Well, the reality is we're going to have to be a little bit more precise. So here's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about the causes of stress. Those are called stressors. We're going to talk about how you respond to stress. And then talk about what makes stress a little bit better. Notice that when we talk about what is stress, it can be both an independent variable and a dependent variable. So it's an independent variable. If stress, then lack of sleep. If stress, then lose appetite. Or we could say this, if stress, work harder, perform better. All right, I tell you what, rather than me talking about stress, how about I just demonstrate it? You want an interactive idea where I stress you all out? Take out your agenda books. Let's do this thing.
Stop, this is a joke, right?
So check it out. When we talk about stress, let's go through this stuff pretty quickly. Try to make it as painlessly as less stress as possible. A stressor. Just write down the vocabulary word stressor. A stressor causes stress. We could have big fancy definitions, right? Stressor causes stress. Oh, they're coming. I hate sirens. And I think most people hate sirens because they're usually classically conditioned that when you hear a siren, no one calls an ambulance because you're bored, because you want to celebrate, you don't invite them to your birthday party. Or you only call an ambulance when something's bad. All right, so let's talk about a stressor. Okay, a stressor is anything that causes stress. Now, it could be good, it could be bad. Distress is what most people think of as stress. It's bad. You don't believe me? Look, I wrote a frowny face there. That's how much I care about you guys. Put pictures in there. So distress is bad. Extra work, pain, fear, lack of sleep, lack of resources. That's bad stuff. But you know what? Stress isn't always bad. Eustress is good. Anytime you see the prefix EU, it means good. Think of the word euphoria. Think of the word euthanasia. I'm not talking teenagers in China. You think euphoria, and then think of Thanos means death. It means when you put your dog or kitty down. It's euthanized. So there's good stress. How could that be? Well, I would imagine, believe it or not, when you guys, if you ever get, accepted into a college, you're going to be stressed that August before you go. You're like, oh my gosh, you'll be all nervous. All right? If you ever get married, you go on a vacation, you get a raise. Even something you really want, when it finally comes your way, that's nervous. It burns energy, it consumes, it messes with you. I don't think there's ever been a boss that's given someone a raise as a reward. The reality is a raise, a promotion is very stressful because it's a bribe. I'll give you more money, I want more work. That's what your boss says. Let's talk about this. The first category is called catastrophic events. I wouldn't write down the definition. If you know what a catastrophe is, well, that's what a catastrophic event is. Related to that was PTSD. And it's generally something life-threatening. Generally something life-threatening. Assault, physical, sexual, mental, military combat, an accident, illness, natural disaster, something that's so big that you almost died, you face death. That is bad. That causes stress. And it does affect people. It doesn't affect everyone the same way, but it does affect someone. I think the movies and popular culture give us all a horrible idea of stress and the tough guy mentality. You know what? Think of every action movie in the world. You get like one man who takes on a whole army. And you know what? He like dodges bullets, he's getting shot, he explodes, but he doesn't even bother because he's so tough, he's so calm and cool under pressure. That's BS. By definition, a life-threatening experience will affect us. Some people more than others, and some people differently than others. So that's one category. The other category is going to be a life-changing strain. Now we have to be real careful. If we're scientists, we want to make a clear line to say here's one category, here's another, and the two never overlap. But the reality is, check it out. For some people, divorce could be completely catastrophic. Illness could be catastrophic. So you're going to have some overlap. An accident, while horrible, might be one of these, like, yeah, I got in an accident, it's awful, but you know what, that's why I have insurance. I'll be okay, could be worse. So we have a lot of confounding variables when we try to make a science out of stress. Third category, going to be life changes and strains. I'm sorry, third category is chronic stress. That's how, I don't know, you could say traffic. Constantly worrying about the bills. Now, some of you might put homework in that category because no matter what, you get finished with a big project, a big report, you hit print, you staple it, maybe, just maybe, you can put that report in one of those cool little binder covers. You're all fine. And you look at your to-do list, you look at your agenda book, oh, look, Father, I got another report done. It never ends. You ever feel like that? No matter what you do, your to-do list never gets shorter? Mm-hmm. Maybe you think of homework as kind of chronic stress. Or is homework and traffic going to be, instead of chronic stress, is it going to be what's called a daily hassle? Crying out loud. You're sitting there like, can you teach slower?
Between chronic stress and daily hassle.
That's actually the question. What is the difference between these? Who draws the line? And that depends on a lot of confounding variables. It can depend on personality, life situations, how you phrase it. And the answer is, welcome to psychology. If you want it to be easy, take physics. Chemistry has a nice periodic table where one element cannot be another element. But in psychology, one thing can be something else. Very frustrating. All right, so how are we going to measure this? How are we going to make it a science? We want it to be chemistry. Remember, Wilhelm Wundt wanted the mind to be reducible down to its elements, down to its structures. Let's reduce stress down to that. Let's measure it. Well, how are you going to measure it if you can't define it? What are we going to do? We're going to throw a survey at it. The survey I'm going to give you an example of is called the SRRS, Social Readjustment Rating Scale. And it's a survey. And you self-report, you filled out, but there's a disconnect. Let me show you the example. Can I click on the example now, or are y'all still writing? Write faster, hurry! Is that
Now
stressful?
you're standing in the way.
So is that stressful? Come on, how about this? Should I add stress?
Stop.
All right. How many of you all, if I just had a whole bunch of tennis balls in your copy and I'd throw them at you, would that add stress or would that make it fun? If you can dodge a wrench, dodge a ball. Let's show you an example of the SRRS. What you're going to do is you're going to get a survey of a bunch of bad things that could happen to you, or maybe a bunch of bad things you've done. Okay? Taking the SAT. What are you going to do? You're going to find out that's 25. You circle it. Maybe you take it a couple times because you've got parents that push you over and over and over, and your parents want you to do better. So you take the SAT once. You got to, if it's worth 25 points, you add up all the things that have happened to you in a year. So 25 times 25 times 25, you got 75 stress points here. Then you say, oh my gosh, I know I'm going to be leaving home or applying to college. I know that my teacher is harassing me or a jerk. And you add up all the things that have ever happened to you. Then you add them up and then you rank them. You rate them according to the scale and you find out, look, if you have over 300 points, baby, you got a lot of stress. You got 150 to 300, you got moderate stress. Under 150, you got a little bit amount of stress. You all smell that? No, it smells like a confounding variable. Totally different smell than a video. Totally different smell than a video. So I think you can see there's some serious problems in this. Failing a test, I'm like, every day. Ain't a thing but a chicken wing. And then we got a lot of, oh my God, I failed. Oh my God, don't tell my parents. And they start crying and stuff. And I'm like, really? All right, because no one looks good when they cry. You ever seen a pretty person cry? No, it's impossible. You ever seen a good-looking protester? Never. All right, so what I'm saying to you, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. So the confounding variable with this, is the idea, who sets 300 as the bar? Who decides that failing a test is worth 11? Why not 9? Why not 10? Who decides that a major change in church activities? Really? So, you can see there's a flaw. You know why there's a flaw? Because I made this. This is based on the adult version, but it didn't apply to you because most people don't work, most people have to pay taxes and things like that. So I made a teenage version. And you're like, oh, well, if you made it, Mr. Fuller, you don't know anything about it. You don't know anything about psychology. All right, well, who does? Who is going to be able to make a stress test that's applicable to everyone? There's going to be some wiggle room. There's going to be some confounding variables. You can see the problems with measuring this stuff. Questions on this? Look, we talked about stressors, things that cause stress. So how do you show stress? We call those stress responses. And we're going to have 4 subcategories. Spend a lot of time on the physical stress. Well, I can even measure it. That's empirical. We're not going to spend a lot of time on emotional stress because it's squishy. I'm going to write a textbook chapter on the emotional response to stress. Different people might feel differently. How would you measure feelings anyway? So when we talk about physical, or before we even get into physical, please realize that these stress responses overlap. So if you're really, really stressed, maybe you can't sleep. You're tossing and turning forward, like, oh my God, I can't sleep, I'm going to be so tired. You get an hour or 2 sleep, you wake up, you're so tired, you can't concentrate at work or school. Maybe you lose your appetite. You lose your appetite, you don't have enough fuel, you can't concentrate, you feel irritable. You're really irritable, you lash out at people, you feel awful, you can't stretch. You can see how this thing can snowball. Physical, you need to know what's called the general adaptive syndrome. The physical response to stress is empirical. We can see it. We can measure cortisol in the blood. You can take a little swab of someone's saliva and measure their stress hormones. You can take someone's blood pressure. You can see it because it's empirical. You got to know what's called the general adaptive syndrome. Make it your own. Maybe you can make up something goofy, like when you're really stressed, you have gas, and that's true. When you have stress, if you were to take a camera and swallow a camera down your throat and you look in someone's stomach, you will see gastric bubbles. You will see bubbles of gas in someone's stomach and intestine because they are stressed. So maybe that'll help you. General adaptive syndrome, gas equals stress. Go ahead. Hans Selye. Hans Selye is his name. Okay, so the first one's going to be alarm reaction. Some version of fight or flight. This means that, you know what, something bad's happening to you. Maybe your boss, you get an idea your boss is unhappy with your work. You're like, oh. Maybe your teacher criticized you. Maybe you got something that really bothers you. A lot of you all don't understand fight or flight. And let me explain it to you. Let's explain it chemically. Chemically, it's going to be, well, let me explain this. Alarm reaction, some version of fight or flight, you need to know what's called sympathetic nervous system. Your sympathetic nervous system. That's when you're working. That's when you cannot relax. Heartbeat, sweating, eyes dilate, constrict, vocal cords change, butterflies in your stomach, hands get cold. The resistance stage. The resistance stage occurs only if your alarm stage goes on for a while. See, let me dip into evolution for a little bit. If I dip into evolution, imagine you're a cave person back in the day, and you're walking around, and a saber-toothed tiger jumps out at you. All right, let's practice again. Let's see if I can get any audience participation. All right. I want, how many of y'all have an even birthday? A birthday with an even month? Even month. If you don't know, okay, with an even day. What? Even month. All right. Got a birthday on a 2, 4, 6. Okay, fine like that. All right. You are going to be the silent props. You go this way. All right. Those, like this.
Okay.
All right. Odd birthday, you got to say roar. Okay, let's practice. Here we go. So you're a cave person, talking evolutionary theory. You're walking down the cave path, and a saber-toothed tiger comes out.
Roar.
Nice. Some of you didn't even play, did you? So check it out. Human beings are designed for short-term stress. Saber-toothed tiger threatens you. You either fight it off, which only takes less than 15 minutes, or you don't, in which case you're dead in less than 15 minutes. Adrenaline's designed to be short burst. Adrenaline's designed to be short burst. Now, what if you have adrenaline for a long time? Then it's resistance stage, and you get that. Imagine a tragedy happens. Your loved one is walking home, and a herd or a flock a flying horse comes down and like kicks them repeatedly. They're in the intensive care. They're in physical therapy for weeks and months. You know what? You got this. I'll pay bills. I'll pick up the slack. I'll be cooking dinner. I'll be shuttling the kids everywhere. I got that. You can do that for a while. But after a while, adrenaline's going to wear off. Your body says no more. We call that the exhaustion stage. You know what you need to write down next to the alarm stage? Adrenaline is the dumb drug. Remember, have you ever seen that movie Limitless? You can take a pill and get instantly smarter? That doesn't exist. But there is a chemical that will make you less able to think, and we call that adrenaline or cortisol. You guys already been paying attention. I'll demonstrate. Stop doing that? How many of y'all are not scared anymore? Like, man, it's good. One of the things, if you wrote down that adrenaline and cortisol are the dumb drug, I also want you to write down that adrenaline and cortisol are poison. What I thought adrenaline's awesome. It is. Adrenaline's great in the short term, for a game, for a match, for a tournament, for a performance, as long as you're well practiced. I mean, if you're thinking about something, adrenaline's really bad. You ever had to give a little speech or a presentation in class and you forget your place and everyone's looking at you, real nervous, you can't think? It's called the uric acid. But if you've practiced something so much you don't have to think, that memory's in your cerebellum, procedural memory, adrenaline all day will help you out. So, adrenaline makes you dumb. Cortisol makes you dumb, but it's also a poison over long term. So, has anyone ever seen the movie Fast and Furious or any of the movies? I would imagine the plots are all remarkably the same. Are they? All right, let me rephrase it. Some of you aren't engaging, so I'll put it down on your level. I've been practicing. I'm going to rephrase that question, and I'm going to add the word yo at the end. Let's practice. Ready? Have any of y'all seen the movies Fast and Furious, yo? Am I slicing it? This guy, yeah! Who's been practicing cool words? All right, so the way this works out is if you're really unsatisfied that your parents give you an old clunker car to drive, you're driving a minivan, it's still got the Cheerios in the back when you were a toddler, it's all a disaster. And then you know what, you pull up a stoplight and some dude rolls up with a Subaru with the muffler jolt, sounds like it's a toaster on crack, and you're like, what the hell can his car so loud? But you want to beat him. But you got a minivan. No matter how much you crank up the mileage, you still aren't cool. So here's what I'm saying. You need to get what's called nitrous oxide. Now, it's illegal in our state, but you know what? See me after class. You know what I'm saying? All right, so here's the way it works. Quick engine anatomy. All right, I want you to imagine your engine has several cylinders. Most cars 4, some 6, very few have 8, and if you got a Ferrari, you got 12. A cylinder, imagine, is a cannon. You put gunpowder in a cannon, you light it off, and something flies at it. Well, in a cylinder, you have a piston in there. And what you do, instead of gunpowder, you put gasoline, not liquid gasoline, a mist. It's injected like a little spray with oxygen, and then you compress the crap out of that gasoline vapor. You have a spark plug, it lights a spark, that thing explodes. Instead of a cannonball flying out at a zillion miles an hour, you have what's called a piston going down the cylinder really fast, and then it hits and comes back up. When it comes back up, it pushes out all the burned gasoline and oxygen. We call that exhaust. All right, why do we care about that? If you want more power, you can either have more cylinders, a la Ferrari, 12. Okay? You could have bigger cylinders, like freaking Dodge Ram trucks, with cylinders like coffee cans. Or you could change the fuel. Instead of putting in gasoline, which is flammable, you put in something more flammable. In the short term, you're at the street light, your mama's minivan, the station wagon, what's up? Someone rolls up, he's got the straight brim hat on, he's got no fear over his Dodge Neon, he's rocking it, and he's nodding, you're like, nodding, I got this. So you hit the gas, you press a little button, nitrous oxide is injected, and your engine burns hotter, it burns faster. And you get 20 to 25% more horsepower. You like those little tires on the road. If you leave it burning, it'll blow your engine apart. If you leave adrenaline in your body for a long time, it will blow your body apart. So adrenaline's great in the short term. That's how we're designed. Mother Nature never designed us to have tax season or exam week or have really stressful jobs. Being a cave person is actually maybe pretty stressful. I mean, pretty peaceful. You either get food or you don't. But you don't have a boss yelling at you. You don't always think of what if. Question? Can you get a what? Can you get a stroke or heart attack from this? Most people's bodies aren't going to let it get to that level, but over time, adrenaline will eat away and hurt the heart, so that will make a heart attack more likely. Okay? Go ahead. Stomach ulcers, that's an interesting question. For the longest time, it was thought that stress immediately causes stomach ulcers. They just found out, no. Stomach ulcers are actually caused by microbes eating away the lining of your stomach. It has nothing to do with stress. It's biology and physiology. Then you find out that you have more microbes if you are under stress. It's almost like there's a connection between your mind and body. And the connection's not really well thought of. All right, let's go on to this a little bit. Actually, I'll tell you what, a little interesting little trivia question on stress. A little trivia thing. One of the persons that came up, well, I'll tell you what type, have you ever heard of type A personality? That's going to be one of our mediators, personality. Some people feel more stressed. Who here knows they're type A? Always organized, always uptight, can't let it go, worried and focused. Anyone like that? Okay. Then here's like, whatever. That's called type B. That term was coined by a cardiologist, not a psychologist. As I understand the anecdote, the cardiologist had to get the chairs in his waiting room reupholstered. Hired a dude to come in and get an estimate. And the upholsterer realized something very strange about the chairs in the cardiologist's waiting room. All of the chairs were worn, the fabric was worn on the chairs in a certain weird pattern. It was only in the front of the chair. It was only on the front of the chair. Because what the cardiologist noticed, that people who came in their office never sat back and relaxed. They were always on the edge of the seat, bouncing their name. Always on. Always waiting. Wait, there. What's he doing? I got things to do. And so we said, maybe there's a connection between the type of people who need to see a cardiologist and the type of symptoms you have. Does personality definitely connect with stress? I'm careful of the word definite. It depends on which paper you read, depends on how you frame the research question. But I think there is. There's clearly going to be a connection between personality and stress. Another connection between stress is called locus of control. Look, I wrote this in a circle. You better write that down in a circle. People with OCD type A. See, now you're crossing personality with the disease. Could the one lead with the other? Possibly. Locus of control. Let me ask you this. You all got your report cards. Who makes your grades? Is it your teacher or you? Teacher. I hate them. Who's going to decide your salary? How much money you make? Is it your boss or is it you? Locus means where. Where is the control over your life? Is it outside of you or is it inside of you? So now we're going to make ourselves a little chart. And let's face it, when you're lonely and scared, oh, for the love of Pete. How hard, what are you, copying in triplicate? If you feel like you can control your stressors, it might make it better. But there's a downside to it. You know you can rarely ever have jelly without peanut butter. You cannot have heads without tails. All right, you ever try that? Just to have a head's coin or a tail's coin? It's pretty difficult. You ever have just a jelly sandwich? Because I'm a thug, I put jelly on my bread and then toast it. All right, so here's what I'm looking at. Here's what I'm looking at. Let's talk about this thing called internal locus control, external. And there's good and bad. Look, when you're lonely and bored, what do you got to fall back on? Charts. They're always your friend, and they don't judge. Better than a golden retriever. So here's what I'm talking about. Let's talk about the good of external locus control. I know we're in a public school, and I know we can't do that. I'll get fired. The NSA is watching. All right, so we're making a lot of noise. Ready? Break down God. I mean, you're not supposed to, well, we're going to get in trouble. I said that in public school. Because most people are religious. God has a plan for you. Why stress? God's going to take care of you. Chill. The bad side is, you know what? You have no say. Your boss, your parents, society steered you along a certain path. You got no control over how your life turned out. Good, internal, self-determination. There is nothing stopping any of you from being a millionaire. So the reality is, what determines your salary? Is it your boss or is it you? Is it how hard you work or is it the job you are allowed to have? All right, so now, internal, self-determination. Everything rests on you. You can do whatever you want. The bad, everything rests on you. You screwed up, it's your fault. You know what this smells like? Fundamental attribution error. Remember that? We had a similar chart back in the day. Ruminative thinking and stress. Well, to ruminate means to dwell on something. And you said, I have so much stuff to do, and when I do this, no matter what I do, I got stuff to do. And it's like you can't get out of that mental trap. To ruminate means to dwell on something, to marinate in like sad or depressing thoughts. Catastrophizing is similar, it overlaps that. And I guarantee you a lot of you looked at a big test, you're like, no, Mom, you don't understand, I gotta do this. And your mom's like, honey, relax. No, Mom, you don't understand, this is it. And you really build up an event to be huge in your life. Okay, let me tell you all, let me share. If you guys think, you were sharing, you saw videos that you think were of me on YouTube, which clearly were not. Let me tell you a little bit about my background. Right before my daddy went to prison, he said, son, when all you have is a hammer, the whole world looks like a nail. Wow, that's pretty profound. All right, but he was being dragged off in handcuffs, so what does he know? What I'm saying is simply, what he was describing was functional fixedness, which is the opposite of creativity. Functional fixedness means you cannot realize that the hammer, wait for it, can take nails out. You forget that a pencil has an eraser. Functional fixedness happens when you're so stressed, you cannot think of a better way to use a tool. And I guarantee this has happened to you guys. You get really, really stressed. And, Mom, you don't understand, I have so much work to do. It's like, well, honey, have you thought of, shut up, Mom, I got this. And you kind of yell at your mom for trying to help you, and she's giving you a new strategy, but you're too stressed to deal with it. It's called functional fixedness. Similar to mental set, similar to schema, and they're related to the Yerkes gods involved. The more you stress, the less you can think. All right, so, do you all just call it a day?
Yes.
Yeah, 2 minutes. So, because we're not wearing microphones, your students won't be able to hear us.
You have that.
Does that mean that this conversation won't make any sense?
Possible. But we do have Mike, and that camera's Mike.
What if they need to ask a question?
Irrelevant. Who cares what they think? So I'm working on it.
Edit out all these random conversations.
Yeah, I guarantee that pretty much footage from this class, you guys are my backup footage.
Oh.
It'll never